That's better. I told you it's hard to work. Hello, everybody. Welcome to United Road. We are back again. Apologies for putting this on during the Champions League. I actually forgot they were on. It doesn't really matter when United aren't playing in that tournament, does it? I'm very pleased to say I'm joined by a very special guest, good friend of mine, Brian Casey, founder of Green Devils podcast, co-owner of Stratford Paddock Football Club, and a major part in the Irish Sport Association. Brian, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's not a problem at all. Firstly, for me, there was some major mic issues, which is why we're 10 minutes late. So I do apologise, everybody. But that's what happens when you don't have an unlimited budget, unfortunately. So when you have to use a laptop in your back office, you have to deal with these things, and you have to deal with them live. So deal with it. Brian, like I say, it's really good to have you on, mate. Really pleased to welcome you on here.
Yeah.
How's the new channel going?
Yeah, good. Look, we're only 3 months old. It's fairly new. It's a new thing for me as well. I mean, it's something that I've kind of wanted to do for a while, and I always found some reason to put it off starting. But then I think coming into the start of the season after this, I'd say the success of the FA Cup, but I just decided, look, this is the time now. Just do it, because I'll keep finding a reason not to start. Do you know what I mean? So, and look, it'll be 130 subscribers at the moment. Look, it's small in the grand scheme of things, but look, it's a stepping stone. It's a start. You know what I mean? As I said, it's only 3 months going, so I'm happy with it. I'm still learning, still getting the hang of it. So there's still hiccups along the way, as we've seen tonight as well. Do you know what I mean?
Great way tonight, yeah.
Yeah. So look, yeah, I'm loving it anyway, and we're starting to build a nice little community. We've a couple of familiar names in the chat every day. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it does seem to be going well. And 130 subscribers is 130 more than my channel I've got, so I wouldn't worry about it. There's a reason why I'm hanging off the back of Keane's brilliant channel that he's built. So, yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Obviously, there's one reason why we're here, and unfortunately, it feels quite hard to speak about the club, and it's quite hard to do a podcast around him at the moment with sort of the negativity around it. And I try not to focus on it as much as possible, but it is hard to ignore. But obviously, this time it's slightly different. We're speaking on the podcast off the back of a 2-1 win against Brentford. I was quite outspoken in terms of the first half. I thought the first half was quite poor. And of course, the referee, I think, made the right call in terms of De Ligt having to go off. I mean, he had to. He was busted open. He was bleeding from his skull. It was kind of the way it is. But, you can see the frustration. But there's obviously similar issues that are repeating. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start with the first half of the Brentford game. I thought it was really poor, and I thought the team played very badly. I thought Brentford, for the first 30 minutes in particular, on the graphic I saw on the channel I was watching it on the perfectly legitimate stream that I was watching it on, there was I think it was about 32, 33 minutes in the game. Brentford had about 63% possession on us at Old Trafford. That, to me, is quite telling of the domination that we were facing in the first 30 minutes. And, of course, football's a 90-minute long game, so it's fine, but what did you make of the first half, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, just going off what you're saying there, it was 68 something percent possession they had. I mean, it's kind of been the story of the season so far, hasn't it? Really, well, probably even last year more so. I know obviously the injuries last year didn't help that, not having our strongest team, but starting off this year, we had most of our best players available most games. But it's hard to put a finger on one thing that's causing it. I know, look, a lot of people are saying it's the way Ten Hag sets up the team, that we're very, I don't know, maybe we're just too focused on attacking, and I don't know, is it just maybe in the transitions we're kind of lacking something? I don't know. It's a straight, it's hard to put the finger on one thing. There's obviously many issues. But the Brentford game, after that first 30 minutes, we kind of settle into it a bit more. It's just, I don't know how you feel about it. It's just, I can't think of one single thing that has caused us to be so bad against teams that look on paper we should be beaten. I know there's the whole argument about like we can't score, but that's not our only problem. You know what I mean? Obviously it's a main one, it's a big problem, but there's so many other problems throughout the pitch, and gradually we have kind of gotten better defensively anyway, but we're still giving up a lot of chances. And as you said, at home against Brentford, no way they should be having that much possession at any stage in the game. Do you know what I mean? Never mind for 35 minutes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? It's hard to pinpoint a single issue, but one thing I will come on to, in terms of the strikers, I do feel for them slightly, because I think when there's multiple strikers and multiple players who are struggling to perform, and not necessarily perform, but score, does it become more than a striker issue than a system issue? Maybe. Do you not think the fact that there's such a team-wide problem of scoring goals that it isn't the strikers, it's more what's being told and the instruction-wise of what they're being told to do?
Yeah, like I even said it in my match review like the other day, that like when you have your strikers from so many games this season, our strikers are coming off the pitch with 0 shots. So the problem is getting them service. Do you know what I mean? So if they're not getting service, how can we expect them to score? So now I don't know whether that's, as you said, I don't know if it's a system issue, that the way they're set up, whether the way Ten Hag is telling them to play. But our wide players are constantly cutting in and trying to shoot themselves, rather than have that old school winger that will take on the man, go around the outside of the last man and get that ball in the box for the likes of Holland.
It's so funny you say that. I was watching a game the other day with my father-in-law, and I actually said that it's weird how, like, when was the last time wingers just were actually wingers? Like, why don't they just bomb down the wing? They're constantly cutting back or sort of dilly-dallying on the ball and waiting for the defender to do something, and they end up just passing it backwards all the time. I find it so frustrating so often. I mean, I probably see it from Jack Grealish the most. I know you probably never described him as an out-and-out winger anyway, but I feel like you see it from him a lot. Garnacho seems to creep in a little bit, but to be fair to him, he's the one that's sort of the most exciting one of getting down the wing, probably to Rashford. But it is something that you see a lot in the game now, isn't it? Like, it's so frustrating. Just bomb down the wing, try and beat your defender. Doku does it not very well because he's always getting tackled.
Yeah, like, I mean, even like I remember before we signed Highland, it was a thing of, we always saw the ball was going into the box. We didn't have a striker, but we were putting balls in the box. Then we signed Highland and we stopped putting the ball in the box.
Yeah, and now we don't do it anymore. It's silly.
It's
so daft.
It seems so basic.
It's so weird to say that. Like, I was saying that the other day as well. Like, we didn't have a striker, did we? Really? I mean, I suppose we did, but they were always injured or whatever. But then you had obviously Rashford scoring the goals, and it was fine. But then we signed an out-and-out striker to be the focal point, and now we don't put the ball in the box, and it's like, what is it? There just seems to be a systemic issue somewhere that doesn't seem to work, and I don't know what it is. And I think, I mean, coming on to the second half nicely, I feel the first half wasn't great, and I think I was quite outspoken about that on Twitter, and I think I got a little bit of abuse for it afterwards when people started tweeting me back 2 hours after the game saying how I was criticising. I was like, look at when I tweeted that we were terrible at that point in the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can criticise the way we were playing because we weren't playing well, and I don't think it's any secret to suggest that. So many people who are much more of an expert than I am were saying the same thing, and it was like, well, you can't just. I get we won, but that second half, what did you make of it? Did you think we performed really well? Did you think the players just performed individually brilliantly, as that old excuse for Solskjaer there always was? Or what did you make of it? What was it that made such a significant improvement for that second half?
I know Ten Hag kind of said it after the game, like that the manner that we conceded the goal right at the end of the first half kind of it made him angry and made him come out willing to fight.
But why wasn't that the case at the start, though?
I was just about to say it, yeah. Like, why isn't that the attitude from the first kickoff? Do you know what I mean? Like, we've seen it so many times, and I think I even said it in my preview. Like, Brentford have scored first in the last 4
minute,
games,
like 4 games in a row or something.
Yeah, in a minute and a half. So they're going to come out quick, but like. I'm not forgetting my point now, but I think it was just on the thing of like, we've seen it so many times. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. That I was hoping that we start the game and like just really solid at the back and alert and aware of everything that's happening, because we've seen it so many times with that team that if we concede first, the heads just tend to drop, and
where do you say that as a United
don't get a performance, you know. See, and it's not just this season. It's been last season, the season before. It's been there for a couple of years now. Whether that's just the attitude of the players, I don't know, but it's definitely an issue that needs to be stomped out. Do you know what I mean? I don't put that solely on the manager. Like, I think Roy Keane said it in one of the podcasts there recently, that why should it be up to a manager to motivate a player? If you're not motivated to play for Manchester United at Old Trafford, you know, what are you even doing there?
Do you know what? It's weird to say that, though, isn't it? Because it is kind of an old-fashioned point that you see from a lot of the older players in terms of, you know, from the 90s and the 2000s. But the point really does ring true. Like, it's not... Yeah, I've always said... no matter who the manager is, for whatever club really, but in particular Manchester United, you're not playing for the manager. Like, you're playing for Man United. And if you don't like the manager, that doesn't matter. Like, you're playing for the shirt that's on your back, not for the manager on the touchline. And it just makes me think, if these players and to be fair, I don't think this is the case at all. I genuinely don't. And I think some pundits probably do argue it sometimes, and I think they're wrong to argue it. But they argue the point that if the players aren't motivated, then why not? Because it's Man United and you should always be motivated. And although I do agree, I think this is the first time, probably in quite a few managers, I mean, I suppose you could obviously argue with Solskjaer as well, but I actually think that the team and the players are playing for Ten Hag. I don't think he's lost the dressing room at all. And you could probably argue different with Van Gaal, you could argue different with Mourinho, probably very similarly to Moyes as well. But in terms of Solskjaer, Ten Hag, in particular Ten Hag, because obviously he's the current manager, but I don't look at that group of players and go, they're not playing for the manager, or they don't like this manager, or they've down tools on this manager, which was such a case so often. I just think, I don't know if it's just a case of they're struggling to implement his ideas. Is something not coming across very well from the manager that they're just struggling to get out onto the pitch? There's just so many things, and I can't think what it is. Are the methods that Ten Hag's trying to implement just simply not good enough? Is it a case of maybe they think the manager is on the way out, so they've down tools without knowing it? I don't know. I really don't, but I find it quite hard to pinpoint what's going on, because I think with the money that was spent in the summer, with the backing that he's had, you know, with the structure that's now in place, although, you know, there is still question marks there, but it's certainly a damn sight lot better than what we've had in recent years.
Yeah.
I feel like Ten Hag hasn't got those excuses anymore. He hasn't got the uncertainty of the ownership. He hasn't got the injury excuse. He hasn't got, you know, because frustratingly, you know, the Glazers out thing seems to have disappeared slightly. I know it's still there in the background, but it's not as prominent probably as it once was.
No.
And I'm not saying it's gone. I think the 1958 is still doing a great job in what they're doing. I know Must are doing things as well. There's fans out there that are still, you know, it's still sang all the time at Old Trafford and stuff, but it seems to be a bit more on the back burner comparison now, because I think fans are being patient with Ineos.
Yeah. And
this is the thing, I don't think match-going fans, that is, and sane fans, I should say. I don't think Ten Hag's got the excuses now, and I think that's why some fans' patience are starting to leave them. Yeah, I think like the performance. I know, like you were saying there earlier, that
you don't think the players have down tools. I think the Spurs game aside, I think that was the one game where I kind of looked at it going, this crowd have just given up on the manager. But look, they came back, and the next game they kind of performed a bit. I think when it comes to the players, like, maybe it's a case of, like we've seen Ten Hag in his interviews when he speaks, the translation thing, whether it's a miscommunication with him and the players, but then you could argue, well, he has other coaches there, like Ruud speaks perfect English. So maybe it's not that in terms of training, but there's definitely...
that gets rid of the charisma excuse, so doesn't it? That's something like, I know pundits have said he hasn't got that charisma that other managers have got, but the other coaches are there as well. It's not just solely on Ten Hag, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There is something there that maybe it's just a case of taking time, bedding into the new structure. I don't know. I think I'm trying to play devil's advocate,
but I think as well. Now I don't know. Maybe you might have seen different, but I think it's like as if he's definitely been implementing a different type of system this season compared to last season.
Nice one, Notch.
Notch, how you doing? But yeah, I think they've I think he's implementing a different system than he has last year, which maybe kind of, and obviously you have Delot is playing on the left instead of the right, so you have, he's obviously playing out of position, and we've seen in games he's just hopeless at left back. Well, positionally, he's not.
Yeah, I don't like to single
useless,
players out.
No, I'm not singling him out, but I'm just saying
it's something that I've seen a lot, and I think it's unfair. However, I think some players do need to be spoken about, and I think Delot maybe is one of them. Is there a frustration with Delot or is there some kind of leeway because he's playing out of position? Because for me, it isn't only at left back that you've seen him lose his man or not track his man or not be at the back post at the right position. So is there leeway and benefit of the doubt for Delot, or is there a frustration that's crept in that is actually quite often that we're seeing?
I think it's hard to know, because I think it's a little bit of both, really, because, like you said, he is playing out of position, but again, he's better going forward than he is going back the way at times. So, because I've seen arguments there this week about that they sold the wrong right back, that Wan-Bissaka is a better defender, but yeah, he's probably a better defender, but Ten Hag obviously wants his. We've seen it, like, how often does Delot actually come inside almost into midfield, getting involved in the play? So, like, Wan-Bissaka couldn't be doing that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like you said, yeah, he's. I don't know. Yeah, it's a hard one to say, isn't it? Whether it is because he's out of position or he's just poor positionally. Like he's unreal going forward.
Yeah, but, I mean, I will say, I remember, what season was it now? I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago when he went on loan to Milan. I thought his career at United done before it really even started. So it was a massive credit to him to be able to come in, get his new contracts and things. And he does seem to have shown that he's versatile across the right back and left back position. I do think he lacks that concentration sometimes, but I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think he's actually quite good.
No, he is. Yeah.
I just think it's part of his game that maybe he could do with working on. But
the
one thing I would say is he probably knows that better than anybody. So I think there's an element of. I do think there's an element of leeway and benefit of the doubt to give to him, especially with him playing at left back. I just think he's probably better at left back than Mazraoui would be, which is why he's playing on the other side.
Yeah.
I suppose really you could blame Luke Shaw for not being fit because he went away.
And Malacia
he could actually got back fit for the team that pays his wages. But that is a whole other debate, and it's one that I'm sure will take up the entire podcast. So yeah, obviously I know we speak about the second half. What did you make of it? Did you think it was a good performance? Did you think the players really came in? Because I know you mentioned before there was a certain amount of fight that effectively was instilled into them because of what happened at the end of the half. Yeah. I don't particularly think it should have took that for that to happen.
No, it shouldn't have. No.
So that was an element. But did you think there was a significant improvement?
Oh yeah, there definitely was. Like I mean, like scoring the early goal in the second half really helped kind of settle the fans' nerves um, as well as kind of settling the players down a bit as well, and we kind of got control in the game. Like we really stopped Brentford doing anything in the second half, really. Now you could probably argue that because we've been so poor that any kind of an improvement would look amazing, but no, I thought they were great, and I think I don't think Ten Hag has gotten the credit probably that he deserves for the way he set up the team, especially for the second half. I know you could say that the players came out fighting as well, but I think he should get more credit for the way he set up the team in the second half and basically nullified any threat from Brentford. I think, and it's probably goes into what I mentioned earlier, like the fact that this new system that he's implemented. Like we are better defensively. Like last season, we were conceding 20 odd shots a game. Brentford only had 8, and 2 of them were in the second half. So, yeah, I think it's just any kind of improvement over the first half would look great, really. But it was good that we scored the early goal and kind of just settled the nerves down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, defensively last season, conceding 20 plus shots a game was terrible, and if we couldn't have improved on that, then God help us. But you know, defensively, we do seem to be structurally better. Well, obviously, we're not conceding the amount of shots, but there is still some very silly mistakes in there, and I don't think they've out yet. And I don't know if that's just because there is something new that's being trying to be implemented. I don't know, but
I think there's still a lot of rotation in the back as well. Like, I mean, I know he was trying to introduce the Ligt and that, but like, how many games this season where has he changed both centre backs?
Yeah,
well, it would really unsettle.
Was it a few games? Was it Lindelof and Maguire he brought on, or Evans and Maguire he brought on?
I think it was Evans and Maguire. I think, like that's going to unsettle any kind of a structure that you have, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Notch has just made a really good point there. Good old Notch. I think we just showed a bit better quality in the second half. Our players are better pound for pound than Brentford's, and we just don't show that quality often enough and too inconsistent. It is a really good point, that, to be honest, because you would look at the two teams on paper and the quality itself should just shine through, and that almost in itself should be able to be enough to beat the team. No disrespect to Brentford, but when you have teams like, when you have a team like Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Højlund, Martinez, all these players pound for pound are just better.
Yeah.
And you'd like to think that their quality eventually will shine through and get you over the line. Sometimes that is what you need. And then when you add the right tactics and the right structure and things, that's when you start climbing the league and competing for the more major honours. So I think it's a really good point that he makes there.
Yeah.
And that sort of brings me to my next point of, although the performance was better, was it that individual quality that won us the game, or was it just a generally better performance implemented from the coaching?
It's probably a bit of both. Like, I mean, we scored two great goals. Like, it's something that we haven't been doing all season. It's taking the chances that we've had, that we've created. Like,
I think with Højlund being in the starting 11, you saw his kind of finishing with his goal. I thought his finish was brilliant.
It's
massively been missing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think we've got a bit of a superstar with Højlund. I just really would love it if he disassociated himself from a certain person.
Okay.
or channel.
Yeah.
He's always welcome on here, though.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely going to be the difference for the remainder of the season. Like, he was a big loss at the start of the season, obviously getting injured on pre-season. And because he missed out on that, it obviously took him longer to come back, missing out on that pre-season. So, yeah, look, I mean, we've created so many chances. It was nice to actually see us score a couple of goals. I mean, the other game we scored more than 2 goals was Barnsley in the Cup.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that's what I mean. I think that's where things like quality shines through, I think, and that's probably, 7-0. I mean, you can't really argue against it, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
With Højlund as well, I think there was an interview recently, basically, where he said he focused on one thing, and it was just trying to focus on the ball at his feet instead of wrestling other players, which I think shows a really good maturity. One thing that does concern me slightly with Højlund, though, in all seriousness, is his injury record isn't incredible, and he has missed quite a few games since signing him last summer. So I really do hope that can improve, and I know that's not really through fault of his own. I just hope he can stay fit, because that would be a massive shame to not be able to have that focal point, because I think he probably does have the ability to be United striker for the next 5, 6, 10 years, to be fair. And I think the right support around him, with the likes of Bruno being able to create those chances. And of course, the man that I want to speak about next, Marcus Rashford. I think looking at his stats, I think he's created more big chances than any of the other players in the squad. I know he's up there with the rest of the good players in the league as well. And he's probably been robbed of 2, 3, 4 assists as well from the lack of quality finishing, I suppose, that Højlund probably would have put away. So after his probably poor and rightly criticised form last year, what do you make of Rashford's performance so far this season?
Yeah, he's been pretty good. I mean, he's definitely improved on last year, but I think it's not gone on. Not that it's gone unnoticed, but it's kind of slightly under the radar, because he's not getting the level of goals that he's gotten previously. But it's like as if he's almost kind of slightly changing his game to be more of a creator than a finisher. Whether that's with the new system or...
I'd agree and disagree with that.
Okay.
Because I think he's had to change his game to be a bit more of a creator. And I think the reason why he's had to do that, and this is probably a criticism of all the coaching staff, and including Ten Hag.
Okay.
I don't understand how you have a finisher and a striker of the ball like Rashford so far away from goal.
Yeah.
I think when he's hugging the touchline, either on the left or the right, he's so far from goal that he can't shoot, so he has to create. And I think, as good as he is at it, I think he's better at the other thing. So the positions Garnacho was getting in all through probably the early second half.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think in the first half, Garnacho had 2 or 3 chances that he probably still should have scored. I think if you put Rashford in those positions, the goals. Yeah. And I think that's the frustration for me. As good as Rashford has been on the right, his best position is on the left. And when you have a talent like Rashford, you have to play him. And I think I would majorly criticise Ten Hag with the fact that he probably shouldn't be playing on the right, and he certainly shouldn't be as far away from goal as he is.
No.
He wouldn't be a creator, he'd be a finisher and a goal scorer. And the reason why he's not done that as much this season is because he's physically not been able to. Would you agree with that? Or
yeah, would you?
Agree with my disagreement, I should say.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, we've seen how much of a threat he is down the left-hand side, and even, like, there was times last year, the last couple of years, when he played on the right, he was just non-existent. I understand he kind of... I think Ten Hag seems to see Garnacho as more playing on the left as well.
To interrupt, this was not our fault, by the way. We won't be endorsing or refunding any beer, by the way, talking to me. Carry on, Brian, sorry.
But yeah, all right. But yeah, I think Ten Hag seems to see Garnacho as a rotation for Rashford down the left.
Yeah.
But obviously, look, I mean, it's no secret we have troubles down that right hand side, the right wing position. So, I mean, his hands are being forced. But like you see it, like we saw it in the Brentford game, there was certain times where both Rashford and Garnacho were down the left hand side when we were attacking. Now, I don't know whether that was, as you said, because Rashford was kind of so deep, he kind of naturally drifted out to the left, but Garnacho was already there. Yeah, look, I think if we're able to sort out our right wing issue, I think Garnacho would be an excellent right winger.
Do we have a right wing issue?
Yeah, we don't have one.
We have Ahmad.
Yeah, but is he ready to be a starter every week?
I would argue he is. I think he's very much so. I think the problem we've got 2 very good left-sided players in Garnacho and Rashford.
Yeah.
You can't play both of them. So someone has to be sacrificed. And at the minute, and it seems to be a frustration for a lot of fans, that it is Ahmad.
Yeah.
Which, you've got to be patient. I just hope Ahmad is, because I wouldn't want to lose him, to be honest. But moving on from that, Obviously, Fenerbahce on Thursday. What are your thoughts? Are you looking forward to that? Obviously, Amrabat, Fred, and Jose Mourinho are they going to haunt United? Are we going to beat them? What do you think?
I mean, look, it's always a tough place to go over there, isn't it? Away, it's a real cauldron. Like it's almost fate that Fred is going to haunt us, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, he was never a goal scorer though, really, was it? But you just know it's kind of for him to do so, isn't it?
But wasn't there? How many was it early in the season? Wasn't it? It was all over Twitter. Fred is after scoring a hat trick.
Oh yeah, of course.
For Fenerbahce, so whatever way he's playing in that setup now, he's obviously he's contributing a few goals. So look, it's going to be tough. I mean, obviously we're going to have no Bruno now as well, suspended. So.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, look, it's going to be tough. I think the midfield is going to be an issue. Did Casemiro have an issue going off after the Brentford game? No, I saw something that
I've not seen anything in terms of him not being able to play.
Yeah, I saw he was training, but I thought I read something that he might have a slight issue. But yeah, I think with Bruno missing, I think our midfield, obviously Manu is missing as well, but I think our midfield is probably going to be Casemiro and Ugarte, and then maybe Eriksen in the 10.
In the 10. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Eriksen being in the 10. I think it'd probably be less running for him, which he tends to get bypassed in the midfield a lot. So Eriksen in the 10 doesn't scare me too much. I think it's just the work rate of the likes of Amrabat and Fred that would worry me more against the likes of Casemiro mainly. I think Ugarte as a workhorse in that midfield is probably quite good. I know he likes to get stuck in and sort of command the midfield in terms of running and the engine in midfield.
Just on Ugarte, what do you make of the criticism he's received from certain sections of the fan base?
I think the criticisms he's received from parts of the fan base are from people who have misprofiled him. I think there was a lot of concerns around Ugarte coming in of particular things. I think people thought he was going to be this person that would stick at the base of midfield and control the midfield and sort of be that dictator of play from the base of in the number 6. And again, I think that's because people have misprofiled him. I think any midfielder that would have come in would have been this lord and saviour of the midfield, and that was never Ugarte. Yeah. Ugarte, like I said, was the guy that will run everywhere and just try and win you the ball back to give to somebody else who is better on the ball. Yeah. And I think Manu is incredible at that, but Manu's still young and it's a lot of pressure for Manu. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the criticisms and concerns that some people, like myself, had of Ugarte is he's not hid them. He's not quashed them. But I don't think that's his fault. I think he's been misprofiled quite a lot. The two, and I mean, Notch says it really well. He started twice.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been amazing in the 2 games he started. And when he's come on in the subs, I don't think he's looked amazing either. I think the game sort of passed him by a little bit, and I think that might just be I don't think it's any fault of his own. I think it's just getting used to the play in England or kind of thing. I think good. I just think he's being used wrong at the moment.
Yeah, or not being used at all. I mean,
or not being used enough.
Yeah, like was the first.
I don't think he's ought to speak because he's not being used enough. Effectively.
Yeah, I think one thing that kind of didn't help was when he signed. Was it the first international break? It was coming back, I think, and Ten Hag. I know it was before the international break, and Ten Hag said, he's not ready to. It was the first game, I think, before the international break in September, and Ten Hag was asked about him playing, and he said, no, he's not ready. And then he went off he played 2 games for Uruguay.
That's what I meant. He wasn't ready, but then to play 2 games. But I mean, that is probably a big criticism of mine of Ten Hag. I think sometimes he just needs to not speak in press conferences. I think he says things that don't make sense.
I think a lot of that is the translation, though. Like him saying he's not ready probably just meant that, like Notch says, he is not ready for the league. You know, but obviously the press and the media and everything will spin that, and they just say like, "Oh yeah, he's not fit to play," but yet he's playing for Uruguay.
I think that comes back to the point, though, doesn't it? That It's like I think any midfield signing that came in, given the sort of form of Casemiro last season, because his legs were very much showing that they'd gone.
Yeah.
I think any player that came in the midfield was going to kind of be lauded as this he's going to save United's midfield, but Ugarte was never going to do that.
No.
And I think there's a genuine concern that there's still another midfield signing needed next summer, and I don't know who it'd be. Again, there's experts out there better than me that would probably have ideas of who to sign. I just think Ugarte is a very good player.
Yeah.
I just think there was very valid concerns around the signing of Ugarte, and I don't think he's quashed them yet. But as Notch has said, and I think as we've discussed as well, I don't think it's fair to say, he's not had enough time to quash them. I don't think so. I think you'd have to give him a lot more time to actually say, look, those concerns haven't been quashed, and I'm still concerned now.
Yeah.
I hope he does. I just don't think he's the guy that could get the best out of Mainu. I think there's probably other players that could do. Although, again, the likes of Dan Ashworth and all these know a hell of a lot more than me. So you need to give these players time to actually adjust to the league, adjust to the squad, adjust to the team, and just see how we do. I think his work rate will always. I don't think that'll ever be questioned, and I think he'll always. If he loses the ball, he'll damn well try and make sure he gets it back. So, I think there's a lot to look forward to with him. Fenerbahce, I think, is going to be a tough game because I think Mourinho is going to make it a tough game. I think. He always likes to have a little bit of fun with his former teams, doesn't he? So, and I don't think United will be any different. So that should be quite an entertaining game, I think. Well, will it be entertaining or will it be a snooze fest because it's Mourinho? But we'll see. I think in terms of what's left to discuss, it's kind of a bit of an easy question. It's a simple question and it's only a blunt answer, really. Brian, are you Erik Ten Hag in or are you Erik Ten Hag out?
I would still be in at the moment.
And why so?
Just from my perspective, I can see the improvements on last season.
Is that a good? Sorry to interrupt, but we couldn't not improve on last season because of how poor it was. So is that a justification for why he should remain as manager?
Well, there's also the argument of who comes in that will improve that squad of players. Now, I know there was it only a couple of hours ago, Xavi is after being apparently linked with us.
Oh, God. I think everybody would be, wouldn't they? But I think it should be media linking everybody with United, but I mean,
okay, devil's advocate here, right? If, just say, we lose the next couple of games, Ten Hag goes and Xavi comes in and tries to implement his Barcelona-style tiki-taka football with those players. Are we going to see an improvement?
This is the thing, though, isn't it?
Well, that's where I'm coming from. Is like, at the moment, especially so early in the season, you're 8 games into the season. I can't see how changing the manager will make a drastic improvement enough to justify making the change, if you get me.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think the problem we've got at the moment is with Ten Hag is he's being rightly criticised because although the performances have improved, again, like I say, I don't think they couldn't not, considering how bad we were, especially in the league last year. They couldn't not. And I think what we are seeing in some of the games is it's not good enough, especially for a manager's third season, and especially when you compare that to some of the other managers that have come into these to squads that you could argue are much less than ours on paper, and they've made such improvements and shown such a clear implementation of what they want that squad to look like and be like so much quicker. It just feels like when we hear another excuse from the manager, it is quite frustrating, and I think the only thing we can do as fans at the moment is take what we're seeing at face value. And unfortunately, what we are seeing isn't probably good enough. And when you are in your third season, you are rightly going to have your head on the chopping block because patience is going to start running thinner. And I think as fans, I know we've got probably less expectations than we once did so many years ago. I think as fans, we probably still think that we should be having better than what we're seeing. So, I'm not exactly Ten Hag out,
but you're not Ten Hag either.
I'm just very critical with what I'm seeing at the moment, and I'd probably say I'm not Ten Hag out because I don't know who to get. I'm just probably not Ten Hag in either at the moment. I think that the performances are very concerning, considering the backing he's had in terms of the transfer market this summer, considering how long he's had. Because I don't think, the slight outliers, obviously with the injuries last season and the ownership issue and stuff, but I still don't think the performances we're seeing are enough. To be honest,
I think as well, like as you're saying there, with the backing that he got in the summer, he seems to be building a young squad. I know that's partly on Ineos as well, that they don't want to be buying anyone over the age of, was it 28? I think they said over the summer. So he is building with quite a young new squad for the future. But if things keep going the way he's not going to be around to see that squad kind of fulfill its potential. That's the other worry as well. Like that he's bringing in his players, or are Ineos bringing in players that they want to be United players. It's
exactly. And the problem is, I think when you sign players for a manager, I think that's a problem as well, because football can change. So I think you have to sign players that will always fit our structure, and then get a manager that will fit that structure, so that the players from the previous manager can always help with the next manager, instead of picking for managers, because that can always change all the way through the years, which we've seen over the last 12 years. Finishing up, score predictions for the Fenerbahce game.
I'll take a 1-1.
1-1. 1-1 away to Fenerbahce. I don't think would be the worst result. Although what I would say is, just looking at the Europa League table, funnily enough, United aren't doing brilliantly, are they? United are currently 21st.
I still don't understand that new system.
No, I still yet to figure it out myself. But 21st, 2 draws, and considering the teams we've played, I don't particularly think, who have we actually played now? So we've played FC20, and we've played, who was the other team? FC20 and Porto. Now the Porto game, were a tough team, I imagine, but it was still another. We've gone ahead in Europe, 2 goals, and we've ended up squandering a lead, and it's quite a frustration and another critical thing of Ten Hag, I suppose. But 1-1. I'll probably say 1-1 or 1-0 United, I think. But Brian, that has been the United Road.
No problem.
Very much for joining me, Brian. Where can people find you?
Obviously, you can find me on the Green Devils YouTube channel. We have Twitter and Instagram accounts as well, at Green Devils Pod. And if you want to follow me myself, I'm on Twitter as well as Mr. Casey MMXXI. Nice, easy one.
A very unique Twitter handle. Obviously, make sure you check out Brian's stuff. His new channel is soaring; it's doing really well, and for very good reason as well. Obviously, make sure you check out the football team he owns as well, Stratford Paddock. Obviously, I've got a little bit of affiliation to that lovely channel as well. Some good friends over there doing some great stuff. And I will be back next week with Callum at Fadden on the United Road, same time, same place, 8 p.m. United Road. I don't know if there's any football on next week. I've not even checked. So if there is, I'm sorry. If there isn't, watch this instead. But if not, I shall see you next Tuesday. There's some more shows coming up this week. I believe Talk of the League is back tomorrow or Thursday. But I won't be here because I'm playing football tomorrow night. So enjoy. Brian, on